over the weekend, the FBI announced that it was granting itself new powers to investigate us. Now, I should stop right here and ask what the heck is going on. How can the FBI possibly grant itself new powers? The short answer is, legally, it can't. It can try new assaults on our constitutionally guaranteed freedoms and see if the courts accept them. Yet the powers that the FBI says it is granting to itself are actually add-ons to other powers that Congress has given the FBI in the past 40 years. First, a little background. For 50 years, the job of the FBI had been to investigate crimes that already happened and to assist federal prosecutors in presenting cases to federal juries. Under its legendary but authoritarian director, J. Edgar Hoover, the Bureau acquired the reputation as the best law enforcement agency in the country, bar none. It showed the most respect for the Constitution. Its agents were the best educated and trained. Many state and local police yearned to join the Bureau. It solved the most notorious crimes in the nation, from the Roaring '20s to the Clinton era. But a series of unfortunate and tragic events took their toll on its behavior and our freedom. After President Nixon left office, we learned that he, just like JFK and LBJ before him, had used the FBI to dig up dirt on political adversaries. He did so claiming that national security was at stake. And he claimed that, quote, if the president does it, it's not illegal. Well, in response to that, Congress enacted legislation that gave the FBI authority to obtain search warrants from a secret court only when it was investigating agents of foreign powers, matters of national security, but underscored that this could not be used on Americans. Then in the Reagan years, the Congress decided that it wanted the FBI to be able to examine the bank accounts of drug dealers and mobsters with a little bit more ease, so it permitted the FBI to go directly to banks and ask them for records of certain depositors. Whatever the banks turned over could not be used by prosecutors unless the person of whom they were records volunteered that information to the FBI. Then we were attacked on 9/11, and the Congress enacted the Patriot Act. This law, which changes the focus of the FBI from investigating crime to anticipating crime, has been found unconstitutional by 5 different federal judges, but was recently reenacted by the Congress. It permits federal agents from the FBI to the TSA to write their own search warrants. It was intended to let agents cut corners of the Constitution, just like British soldiers did when the king allowed them to write their own search warrants so they could rummage through the colonists' homes looking for personal property to tax. But even FBI self-written search warrants were supposed to be served only on financial institutions and were limited only to investigations of terrorism, and then only when a legitimate investigation was ongoing. Then Congress changed the definition of financial institution to include everything from your computer server to your doctor to your mailman. Then FBI agents began writing their own search warrants for any crimes they were investigating, whether it involved terrorism or not. You get the picture. That brings us to this past weekend, when the FBI announced that henceforth it would permit its agents on their own to follow and snoop on anybody they wanted, whether there was any suspicion of criminal activity about that person or not. It would permit its agents to sort through the garbage of anyone they chose, whether there was any suspicious behavior on the part of whoever used the garbage or not. And it would allow searches of any databases that the FBI felt like searching about anyone in whom it was interested, whether there was criminal suspicion about that person or not. Have they forgotten that their job is to protect our freedom as well as our safety? Whatever happened to the constitutional guarantees of privacy? Think about it. What cop or FBI agent would bother going to a judge for a search warrant if they could just write their own? Oh, and last month, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that cops and federal agents can break into your house without a warrant if they smell from outside the house what they think are drugs. This must have sent a signal to the FBI that it could get away with cutting more holes in the Constitution. We live in scary times, America. Of course, it would be easier for the FBI if they broke down whatever door they pleased, read whatever email they wished, arrested whomever they wanted, and waterboarded the arrested person until he told them what they wanted to hear. But who would want to live in such an America? Sadly, we might all find out soon.